Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to be looking at a truly remarkable piece of atmospheric storytelling called The Forgotten Organ Tuner. It's this beautifully crafted narrative that uses a really quiet, subtle mystery to explore some massive themes, things like memory, legacy, and the unseen caretakers of our world. We're going to dive right in and unpack exactly how this story achieves such incredible emotional resonance.
Right off the bat, we are dropped into this incredibly specific, incredibly vivid sensory world. Imagine this. It's a freezing February morning in 1884 in Cambridge, England. The author doesn't just place us inside a church. They actually put us inside the instrument itself. The text says, "The interior of an organ case smells like nowhere else in the world." And instantly, you can almost smell it, right? That mix of old cedar wood, the metallic mineral dust of the pipes, and leather that's been softened by decades and decades of human breath. It completely grounds you. You're right there in the dark, breathing in the history.
And that intense sensory grounding sets up this brilliant, low-stakes mystery that completely drives the narrative. It poses a really fascinating question. Why would someone hide music meant for a human voice inside a giant machine? It's not some grand conspiracy or a murder mystery, it's just this quiet, strange anomaly. And it's exactly what sets our protagonist, Marion Cross, on this captivating journey to uncover a forgotten piece of history.
Part 1. Setting the Victorian atmosphere.
So, before the main plot even kicks in, we just get to watch Marion arrive at St. Etheldreda's Church at 6 in the morning. She knows exactly where the key is hidden, under a stone by the south porch. She lights her lamps, and she just gets to work. But who exactly is Marion Cross? Well, she's 46 years old, and she has been an organ tuner for exactly 23 years. Think about that for a second. 23 years. That number represents an immense amount of patience. Her hands have literally learned this instrument through the skin. She possesses this absolute, unwavering attention that you really only get from spending half your life just listening.
And that brings us to this really fascinating concept in the story, professional solitude. Marion isn't some grumpy recluse who hates being around people. It's actually that her work physically demands silence as a medium. You can't tune an instrument if you can't hear it, right? She has mastered how to be alone without being lonely. It's the mark of a true craftsperson whose life's work requires completely undivided attention.
Part 2. The Tuner's Solitude.
Marion knows this particular modest instrument intimately. She knows exactly how it goes flat when that bitter winter cold seeps into the church's stone walls. We see her follow these highly methodical, incremental steps. First, she tunes the great manual. Then she moves to the swell manual, and finally down to the pedal board. She presses a key, she listens, she makes an adjustment by just fractions of a cent, and she listens again. It's like she's negotiating with these older pipes, rather than just forcing a tuning upon them. And this brings us to the underlying philosophy of the entire narrative, which is honestly just beautiful. The idea is you tune the relationships. An organ is this incredibly complex system. You don't just tune a pipe in isolation. You tune the first pipe, then you test the pipe beside it to find the relationship between the two, and then a third to find the harmony of all three together. You are literally tuning the spaces between things. Definitely keep that in mind because it echoes through the entire rest of the story.
Part 3. A Mystery in the Wood.
Okay, so it's around 7 a.m., and Marion is working in the oldest, tightest, most confined part of the organ case, the swell. Suddenly, her quiet routine is broken. She spots something. Her brain immediately goes, okay, is this a mechanical repair? No. Is it a maker's mark left by the builder? No. What she finds is a 4-inch strip of metal, fastened to the timber with these tiny little pipe pins, and engraved right into it is musical notation. It was placed there entirely intentionally, clearly by someone who intimately understood the inner workings of an organ.
Marion starts putting the pieces together. She observes the clues. There are exactly 8 bars of melody. There's no time signature, no key signature, but the real dead giveaway? It's a wider leap in the 5th bar of the music. Marion knows instantly that this is a leap a human voice makes naturally and willingly. This wasn't written for a bellows. This is music meant for a singer's breath, purposefully hidden away inside a machine.
Part 4. The Search for Evelyn Marsh. Now, Marion doesn't panic or get wildly dramatic. She just methodically investigates. She pulls out the old church logbook and starts piecing together a timeline. The organ was rebuilt in 1851, sure, but the really crucial entry pops up in 1863. An organist named Evelyn Marsh was appointed. Evelyn played there for 8 years before eventually moving to Norwich in 1871. Marion realizes that Evelyn Marsh would have known the back of that organ case better than anyone. Suddenly, our mystery has a name.
Part 5. Music for a Lost Voice. This discovery actually compels Marion to take a trip to Norwich, where she manages to track down an older Evelyn Marsh. When Marion explains what she found hidden in the wood, Evelyn invites her in and reveals this totally heartbreaking backstory. Evelyn used to have a 15-year-old student named Alice Redmond, who had this unbelievable, once-in-a-generation voice. Evelyn wrote this specific piece just for her, but tragically, Alice died of a fever in 1867 before she ever got to sing it. Evelyn tells Marion, "I took the 8 bars that seemed to me the heart of the piece. She engraved them with a tiny watchmaking tool, and she fastened them deep inside the organ."
And then Evelyn makes what I think is one of the most powerful distinctions in the whole explainer. She says hiding that metal strip wasn't about keeping a secret. It was a keeping. Just paper felt way too ordinary, too fragile for a song that never got to be sung. So she placed it inside the instrument she loved, trusting that it would be held safe until someone who truly understood the organ eventually stumbled upon it.
Which brings us to the number 13. For 13 long years, those 8 bars of music just sat waiting in the dark. Evelyn had no idea if the organ would even survive that long, but she trusted it anyway. And 13 years later, Marion Cross, a woman who was uniquely equipped to understand not just the mechanics of the instrument, but the profound solitude of carrying something quietly, was the exact right person to find it.
Part 6. The Keeper of the Song.
So before leaving Norwich, Marion actually copies down the full sheet music from Evelyn. When autumn finally rolls around, she returns to Fordwell for her next scheduled tuning. She checks, and the metal strip is still sitting exactly where it belongs. She finishes her tuning work, and then, standing there in this completely empty stone church, Marion sings the completed piece aloud. She finally gives the song its voice. As the narrative so beautifully puts it, the aftermath creates the silence of a space that has just been asked to hold something and has held it. The silence isn't empty anymore. It is completely full.
In the end, Marion realizes her role wasn't to take ownership of the song. Her role was simply to find it, carry it back, and give it breath. She tunes the relationships, not just between the metal pipes, but between people stretching across time. And it leaves us with this incredibly profound question to chew on. Who are the invisible keepers of the things we leave behind? It's such a powerful reminder that sometimes absolutely the most important work we can do is just being willing to listen to what is waiting for us in the quiet.